Guys, I'm really excited. I just got gold on the checkpoint chase in April 2022. I feel like I actually really accomplished something here. This took a lot of grinding, a lot of figuring out settings, and a lot of just trial and error, and a little bit of luck. So today I'm going to walk you through exactly what I did. We're going to show you the full replay of what I did to get gold. I'm going to show you my score at the time of getting gold today, April 2nd. And I'm also going to show you the settings that I used and give you some other thoughts on what you can do to prepare and how you can best set yourself up for success in the checkpoint chase. We can start right here though by watching the faint version of what we're getting here in the finish menu with the AI driving the car around. Turn 3, I guess it is here, where he goes around very smoothly, makes it a parabellum, goes very wide, and gets a nice straight exit onto this straight. I think that is really important. I didn't do that, but I think if I had, I would be somewhere in the 700,000 range. And there's one corner in particular in this replay that I think is going to prove beyond a doubt that it makes up the most time of anything I've figured out. So let's go ahead and watch the replay. I'm going to go to the cockpit because that's the view I was using in the car when it was rolling. Oh, really need to turn the volume down. All right, I've got some volume issues, so now we're good to go. All right, so I think the important thing to do right here in turn 2 is just to extend it in 5th gear to run it completely wide. Interesting thing happened there. The two taxis hit each other, and that's not something that actually happened at any other point. I've done this several times. I've never seen that happen before. Coming through this chicane, there's a number of things the taxis can do. I'm going to go ahead and turn the HUD off so we can see exactly what's going on, but the important thing is to get as close to these tires on the right side of the bridge as you can. I think that's going to give you the best chance of, well, extending that corner, not like I just did, taking up all the corner on the left side, cutting in, seeing the red on the right side there, and then hugging the right side to make this as straight as possible, the final chicane, over the finish line, lap number 1. See the second set of stripes right there? We're going to hit the brakes, downshift to 4th, and click it into the right side. That gives you a nice, comfortable line to get on the inside of that taxi if that ends up there. If not, you've got more time to think. Back down into 5th, then we're going to coast, let off, turn in, and we're going to let the car settle and get back on the gas. Yeah, you see that right there? Did two things right there, and I want to pause just and just say something about that right quick. One thing you'll see that I did there was that coming out of 5th, down in the bottom of turn 2, I was bouncing off the curb. And the problem with that is that it's going to unsettle the car, because what happens next is you have to be on the inside line. Ideally, at this point, if you've done everything correctly, you will be on the inside line, and there's going to be a taxi right in the middle. You would be tempted to take a wider line here and swing the back end around for braking into turn 3, I guess it is. But what you really need to do, because of the pacing of the taxis, is stay on the inside line, at least for the first time. The other thing I did there was I deliberately hit that taxi. I deliberately rubbed up against the side of it to kind of let it help me slow down a little bit. Just clipping the corners on the way out. I'm in 2nd gear for that, moving into 3rd. Take the inside line on this taxi. Again, what you're going to want to do here is coast. So I'm letting off, flick it in, Scandi flick it in, let off. I actually thought I was going to hit the wall there, but for some reason I didn't. And then you're going to run over the bollards here. Sometimes it upsets the car, sometimes it doesn't. And then on the right, hitting those tires. Again, trying to straighten this out as much as you can across the line. One thing I did notice, and I will say as we go through this, I noticed if you just make the sacrifice and just hit some tires every now and then, sometimes it's worth it. You know, if you can clear some tires out, every other lap, those tires aren't going to be there. So you can take up that space, you can use that extra track width, and 0.1, 0.2 seconds is going to make a lot of difference sometimes. As I come into turn 3 and try to leave it in 2nd gear, just a nice smooth corner. And that's probably the name of the game, is just being smooth. You'll notice in turn 1 at the back straight, it's not terribly fast, but it doesn't have to be. Here we are in 4th gear, coming up around this taxi, preparing for this turn, which is going to put us on the outside because of the taxi. That's okay. We just ride the curve a little bit. We get right back into the right side here, hit the red on the inside line of that taxi, and we're back headed for the finish line. I think it's also important to do this a few times, several times, so that you have different lines planned out. So that, like in that circumstance, I was prepared. I knew if there's a taxi there, here's what I'm going to do. That just takes time and experience. You're not going to know that right off the bat. You just have to experience it for yourself. Coming down the corner, 5th gear, no braking, just letting it coast through. Taxi, come in late, kind of aim for him if you have time. Hard braking down into 2nd, and then we cut the inside line. If at all possible, it's okay to clip the curve a little bit. And Don't hit anybody. That's the big idea. Taxis do different things at this particular part of the track. That guy forced me really narrow. That was a butt-puckering moment as I slipped through the tire wall there. But right there under the bridge, because I had already decimated those tires, I was able to take up that track width. And here I made a critical mistake and jumped that way too hard, hit the wall, and I said, you know what, I'm not going to throw in the towel. I don't know why not, but for some reason I just didn't do it. Thought I'd just keep going, come around that taxi, second set of stripes, hard on the brakes, down into fourth, chuck it in. Nice, smooth, comfortable entry. Coming around that one, you should have about a 1.6 second bonus at that checkpoint. The numbers can vary, especially on the first lap, but by lap 2 it should be about a 1.6. This, by lap 2, could be anywhere from 1.8 to 2.2 seconds, this checkpoint back here, as I ran into the back of the taxi. Not really a big deal, because I ran into him under braking. I was going to slow down anyway. So it's not like you can't hit anybody. I've hit a wall, I've hit a taxi, I've hit multiple tire walls, and it's okay. And here I think is where, is this the last lap? Yes. So walking it very gently down into fourth gear, that right there, we're going to come back to that in a moment because I think that really sealed the deal. Tap the back of a taxi as I realized I've won. And it was like, it was incredible. I've never seen anything like that. That corner right there, when I realized I had won, guys, what I did, I looked up at the score and I said, man, I've won. And something took over. Flow took over, I don't know, but I got that corner in fourth gear, perfect, smooth on the braking, managed the weight of the car as it came into the inside left, and just walked it nicely with some throttle up the hill. There was no squealing, there was nothing. The car was just really composed. It felt great. I've never been able to do that on that corner before, but I think it was the bliss of knowing that I had just finished the race, that I had just won. It was, I think, really incredible. That moment, I think, is where you can make up the most time. If you can do that on that corner every time in fourth gear, barely clipping the rumble strips and just doing it very comfortably. Again, it doesn't have to be flailing and going real fast. It just has to be comfortable and consistent. That corner right there has the most potential. I only did that once, and it was enough to secure me the win. And again, looking at the replay, again, it just started itself over. I will say, that taxi hitting it at the beginning, that was a fluke. I've only ever seen that twice. And oddly enough, it was actually both times were today, so maybe they updated something. But the fact that two taxis hit each other on this section right here meant they were piled up and they were interfering with each other's lines. I very much think this was an ideal set of laps. I think it was ideal in a lot of ways. Obviously, I hit a few walls. It could have been better on my part, but the taxis being spaced the way they were, I think kind of just comes down to luck. I think there's only so many ways the game's going to play out, right? But there could be 100, so it's just kind of luck in finding that one and sticking with it. And I think of all the lessons for this video, that's the lesson I would send you home with, is to say, look, stick it out. If you're halfway through and you're making good time, you hit a taxi, you hit a wall or whatever, if the car's not too damaged, just keep going. I think at one point in this, I even had left wheel damage, and I just kept going. Because as long as the car still drives, you still got your engine and transmission in good order, you're going to be able to do just fine. And that was a gold run, so that was enough at the time of filming April 3rd to put me in gold. Not by a whole lot, but it was certainly more than enough to put me in gold. So hopefully you get something out of this. Hopefully this helps people who are questioning, how does this system work? How do you get bonuses? You get bonuses by being consistent. You can get bonuses every single lap. Here we go. I've got gold. I'm in the top 8%. That feels pretty cool. And we've got 30 days at the time of filming for you to get in here and do your own thing. Also, I'm well aware there are exploits. People have nice round numbers like 2 billion, 2.1 billion. We got a 1 million down here. We got a 2 million, 1.5. Those are nice round numbers. That's convenient. These are the car settings I use. I'm going to go ahead and do them right now. 5, normal, 2, 4. So 5, 3, 2, 4 is the settings that I use to get gold. I think the number one setting that helped me get this win was gear ratio. Every attempt before today, I was actually on gear ratio 2, and I kept topping out on the back straight. And at the time, I didn't think it was a big deal because it was only like 1 second or whatever. But then it occurred to me that 1 second per lap could very easily be the difference between getting silver and getting gold. So changing that to standard, gear ratio on standard, I think that is the most important thing. The other settings, I think you can do whatever you want, but you need the gear ratio to be there. Change the rest to fit your driving style, but leave the gear ratio at standard. That's my thought on that. Brake balance being on 4, I think helps bring the front end of the car into control, while also bringing the back end of the car around because it's going to be lighter. It's not going to have that braking grip as you would have on a rear brake balance. So those are my settings for the car. That's what I did. I got gold tonight. I'm super happy about this. The only other thing that really changed for me tonight was that I approached it like, hey, I'm just going to chill out and do some laps. You know, I wasn't getting too upset if I didn't make it. So, but yeah, these are the ways that you can get gold on the Checkpoint Chase tournament here in April 2022. Take care. Have an awesome day. See you next time. Goodbye.